This is my Perlin noise-based Unity terrain generator. The menu here just generates a single cell and adjusts the offset based on time.delta time to get this cool slide effect. Honestly, this project I found, I kind of underestimated it. I expected it to be a bit easier than it was when I first got into it. I started off just following the Brachy's tutorial and kind of went from there and just kept adding more and more to it. So here you can see it is just infinitely generating terrain. It is all unique as it is all from a single noise map. So it is essentially endless. As you can see it kind of popping in the distance. See if you can kind of tell it is, you can kind of see it where the ones in the distance look far pointier as there is a level of dynamic LOD for the cell generation. It's actually like changing how many polygons each region has as you get closer. Each area is built up of a single 240 unit tile. It is technically a unit of 241 in the code, but that is because it generates one less than that because the way it is written. It's mainly needed for that, so it is a factor 8 for the LOD, so I have as many factors as I can that'll solidly break down, so I can have, 1, 2, 4, 6, and 8. No, 1, 2, 4. It's 1, 2, 4, and 8. So yeah, would be what it has for this. And that way I can have that number of polygons per section create the level of LOD. It is interesting, just kind of floating through. The actual regions, how it determines height is based just on, the regions are determined by its height, and there are 8 different regions: deep water, shallow water, sand, grass, forest, light grass, dark grass. The dark green is essentially forest, and then you have stone, light stone, dark stone, and that would be then snowcap. An interesting thing is because the way it gets the curve for doing the terrain is actually using an animation curve, having the value in the animation curve, allowing it to pass the max value, creates this really nice feature where some of the mountains can have these really nice rounded tips, which creates this more mountain-esque effect. It is using multiple different, synthesis, using your different levels of Perlin to create the. I believe this one is currently made through 6 octaves. So it goes through 6 different tiers of Perlin noise, each of lowering persistence to create this nice terrain effect. And actually using the curve, I don't know if we can kind of tell, the water is allowed to dip and rise. So it creates this little wave effect inside the areas where water is created. Just going to close that. We can have a look at the actual code for a second. Here, let's go to the actual generation. So it was actually kind of interesting. The draw map and editor, this was taken from a tutorial, allows me to actually quick update the map in editor for testing. But the actual endless terrain is what creates the map that you see there, and it's doing it just using a queue to create a section around you and reads only what is within that range rather than what's necessary to go outside of that range. Yeah. All in all, it's been very an interesting project. The tutorial also got it to make classes inside the other class, which is fair because it's only used by the endless terrain, so yeah, it creates its own terrain chunks. Yeah, I feel like stuff like this could easily be used in future projects. I'm thinking of maybe adding an infinite mode to my game dev project that'll be possibly using the same code as this. So yeah, definitely a interesting setup.